Full disclosure, what I'm sharing with you guys today is not my own idea, but something that I learned from a speech therapist. Hi everybody, welcome back to Talk and Chalk. This will be a quick video today talking about core goals. This is something that I learned through professional learning with one of the speech therapists that works at my school, and she had been taking one of my teams through professional learning to support a lot of our students who have been diagnosed with severe expressive and receptive language delays. We've got a high number of speech needs in our school, so we do fund a therapist to come in throughout the year, depending on what's going on for the year, floods, pandemics, whatever. And that speech therapist might do one-to-one assessments, they might run small group intervention, they might come into the classroom and do team teaching or demonstration lessons, they might even work one-on-one with a child depending on what the needs are, but also providing professional learning, so professional learning in staff meetings or team development, which is one of the options that I took up when I identified that this team were experiencing a lot of difficulty differentiating for student needs, specifically because of these language needs, expressive and receptive. So we sat down, we let the therapist have a look at our programs, and then each fortnight we would touch base on those programs to identify what she called core goals. So we know that our outcomes, our content all come from the syllabus. A lot of our assessment markers might come from the literacy and numeracy learning progressions, and a lot of our learning intentions and success criteria are built on I can statements that come from either one of those things. So looking at what we had in our programs and what we were trying to target, she would then support us in identifying core goals. So looking at the activities and trying to see what is it you're actually trying to achieve with the class by the end of this lesson. So this meant really honing in on, are our learning intentions and success criteria written accordingly to exactly what it is that we're after and the kids know what we're doing, and how can we make sure all kids can achieve that if we hone in on core goals. So it meant rewording some of our LISC, and it meant really honing in on those skill sets of every kid in the class, not just those kids working at expectation. Sometimes we find it a bit easier to extend. It's often those lower kids when we think, well, do we just drop back down to a lower stage outcome or expectation, or are we just really pinpointing need? And this really helped us pinpointing need, so core goals. So writing most specifically was the harder one. We would look at something like writing a sentence or writing a paragraph. And a very specific example of this was when the outcome would be, or when the I can statement would be, is that I can write a sentence using adjectives. Now we're looking at those lower kids in there who couldn't write a sentence. We're not setting them up for success when the I can statement is I can write a sentence using adjectives. So she would sit with us and say, okay, is the point that they're writing a sentence or is the point that they're writing an adjective? And we would really look at the outcome in our program and go, no. What we want most out of all of this is to know that they know what an adjective is. And she said, right, that's your core goal. That's the core goal before anything else. Especially with those kids struggling to write a sentence, it's just an adjective. So what we're doing is we're finding a way to differentiate so that we're just getting an adjective out of those kids. So when I was in there in that room, the classroom teacher would continue with that lesson around getting the I can statement. I can write a sentence using an adjective. And then the kids who had started with that lesson, getting the warm up, doing all the what do you call them? Anchor charts. Oh, it's the weekend and it's nearly end of term. Anchor charts on adjectives and what that looks like and how we can figure those things out. I would then pull those kids aside and really reinforce that. Okay, how can we get some adjectives for a dog? How can we get some adjectives for a food or whatever it was at that point in time? And we would verbally do it, and I would model it, or we would sound it out, or we would get the word down on the page. If those kids totally struggled with their sounds and everything, I'm not switching my core goal to getting them to sound out. It's not a spelling lesson all of a sudden. The core goal was adjective. If they could verbally say it and I could scribe it, or they could tell me what they thought it started with, That was enough. So the core goal thing made me really like this, you know, have the blinders on to adjective, adjective, adjective. I'm not worried about those other skill sets and getting detracted. I wanted to see that demonstrated because that was the core goal. It really helped me keep just that fine line between it. And then as we progress through the professional learning, this would shift to the teacher doing it and me switching out to the other lesson as well, and we would all take a turn doing it. And it means now that when I go into things like reading groups, mathematics, any of those things, and I'm talking with teachers about how we can best differentiate for those kids that aren't working at expectation, I go back to core goal. What is the core goal of this activity, this list, this outcome? And that's how we're going to differentiate for those kids that aren't working at the level that the majority of the class is working at. And it was really, really helpful. So hats off to that speechy for giving me a great mindset around differentiation. I think it was very, very helpful. If you found this helpful, thumbs up, and I will share that with the speechy when I see her again, and keeping it short and sweet today. So I will leave my subscription button down below. I will put some random video at the top there, and I look forward to seeing you in another video. Thanks guys, bye.